The research vessel Steady Dawn floated in the darkness of space, far from Earth, far from any human world. Captain Park stood at the window of his bridge and looked at the small green moon below. His ship had been exploring this empty region for 3 months. They had found nothing but rocks and dust. Until today. "Captain," said Dr. Myra, stepping beside him. Her eyes were bright with excitement. "The readings are clear. There are people down there, humans." Turn to look at her. "That is impossible. No human colony exists in this sector." "I know," Myra said, "but the DNA scans do not lie. They are human. Perhaps lost colonists from the old expansion era." Before could respond, the ship shook violently. Alarms screamed through the bridge. Lieutenant rushed to his console, his soldiers' instincts already sharp. "Weapons fire," reported. "A ship has dropped out of faster-than-light travel." "No, wait. Not one ship, 20 ships, 50. Captain, there are over 100 warships surrounding us." Felt his stomach drop. The ships were massive, covered in dark scales like the skin of some ancient beast. He recognized them from his training. The Empire, one of the oldest civilizations in the galaxy, and one of the most dangerous. "They are hailing us," said Engineer Bay from her station. "Put them through." The screen flickered. A face appeared. It was reptilian, with cold yellow eyes and rows of small, sharp teeth. The creature wore armor decorated with symbols of rank and conquest. "Human vessel," the reptile spoke. "I am High Commander of the Empire. You are in restricted space. You will leave immediately." Kept his voice calm. "High Commander, we are a research vessel on a peaceful mission. We detected life signs on the moon below and wish to investigate. We mean no harm." His eyes narrowed. "The moon and everything on it belongs to the Empire. You have no rights here. Leave now or face the consequences." "I must contact my government for instructions," said. "Surely you can allow us time to." The screen went dark. A moment later the ship shook again. This time the lights flickered and sparks flew from a console. Someone screamed. "Direct hit to Section 7, shouted. 3 crew members injured. Hull breach contained." Gripped the railing. They had fired on a research vessel. They had hurt his people. He forced himself to breathe slowly. He could not afford anger right now. "Get us out of here," he ordered. "Maximum speed." The Steady Dawn turned and ran. The ships did not follow. They had made their point. 3 hours later, sat in the medical bay, watching his injured crew members sleep. Myra stood beside him. "Why would they do this?" she asked quietly. "We were no threat to them." "I do not know," admitted, "but I intend to find out." His communication device beeped. An unknown signal. He answered it carefully. An old face appeared on the small screen. This one looked different from tired, sad perhaps. "Captain," the old reptile said, "I am Ambassador. I served the Empire for 200 years. I contact you in secret because I believe what is happening is wrong." "What is happening, Ambassador?" Sighed. "High Commander has convinced our leadership that humans are weak, that your species is young and will be easy to conquer. He believes absorbing your worlds will restore the glory of the old empire." Felt cold. He wants war. He wants conquest. He has already sent messages to your colonies. All human ships must leave this entire sector within 30 days. If you refuse, he will begin what he calls correction. The Galactic Conquered will not help you. They never interfere with conflicts involving young species. "Why are you telling me this?" The old ambassador was quiet for a moment. "Because I have studied your species, Captain, your history, your wars, your capacity for violence. Sees only your small fleet and your few colonies. He does not see what lies beneath. I fear what will happen when he wakes the sleeping beast." "We do not want war," said. "I know, but will give you no choice. Prepare your people, Captain, the storm is coming." The screen went dark. Stood alone in the medical bay for a long time. He thought about his crew. about the lost humans on that moon living under control, about his home on Earth where his daughter was just starting school. He walked to the communication room and sat before the long-range transmitter. His fingers moved slowly across the controls. This message would travel across light years, through relay stations, until it reached Earth Command. "This is Captain Park of the research vessel Steady Dawn," he began. "We have been attacked by the Empire, 3 crew members wounded. They have issued an ultimatum demanding human withdrawal from this sector within 30 days. They have also been holding human colonists as prisoners on a moon in this region." He paused. His next words would change everything. "I believe they intend to wage war against humanity. They believe we are weak. They believe we will submit. They have drawn first blood against a peaceful vessel on a peaceful mission." Looked at the camera. His eyes were hard now. The patient diplomat was gone. In his place sat something older, something that lived in the blood of every human, the survivor, the fighter, the one who refused to kneel. "Requesting instructions, but I want command to know one thing. They have attacked our people. They threaten our homes, and they have forgotten something important." He leaned forward. "Humanity does not forget, and humanity does not forgive." He ended the transmission and sat in the darkness, waiting for the answer that would decide the fate of 2 civilizations. On Earth, the Great Hall of the United Stellar Parliament was filled with shouting voices. Representatives from 17 human colonies argued and pointed fingers. Some wanted peace at any cost. Others demanded immediate war. President sat at the center, listening to everything, saying nothing. Admiral Han stood near the window, watching the chaos with calm eyes. She was 70 years old, but her mind was sharper than anyone in the room. They called her the grandmother because she was patient and kind. But those who knew her well understood that her kindness hid something dangerous. When pushed, did not bend. She broke those who pushed her. The shouting continued until President raised her hand. Silence fell instantly. "Admiral Han," the president said, "what is your assessment?" Turned to face the room. "The Empire controls 8,000 worlds. They have 10,000 warships. We have 200 ships and 17 colonies. By any reasonable calculation, we cannot win a war against them." Fear spread through the room. "However," continued, "reasonable calculations have never applied to humanity. They have made a mistake. They see our numbers and believe they understand us. They do not." "What do you recommend?" the president asked. "We prepare for war, total war. Every shipyard working day and night. Every factory producing weapons. Every citizen ready to fight. We will not attack first, but when they come, we will make them pay for every inch of space in blood." Across the galaxy, the Galactic Concord held its own meeting. The great chamber was filled with beings of every shape and size. Creatures of light, beings made of living crystal, ancient trees that could speak, metal machines with souls. 4,000 species, united in peace for 2 million years. Ambassador O stood before them, a single human among giants and gods. "We request the Concord's protection," said. "They have attacked a peaceful vessel and threatened our civilization. This violates the basic principles of the Concord." The crystalline representative floated forward. Its voice was like wind chimes. "The Concord does not interfere in conflicts involving young species. You have been spacefaring for only 800 years. They have sailed the stars for 2 million. This is the natural order. Young species must find their own path." Had expected this answer, he smiled. "Then the Conquered will not object if humanity defends itself by any means necessary." The chamber went quiet. Several elder species exchanged worried glances. The crystalline representative seemed to flicker. "By any means," it repeated. "Any means," confirmed. "Weapons that could destroy stars, devices that could tear holes in space itself. Technologies that we have kept hidden because we hoped we would never need them. If the conquered offers no protection, we will protect ourselves. An ancient being, a creature that looked like a floating brain covered in eyes, spoke for the first time in 3,000 years. The humans possess such weapons. We possess the knowledge to create them. We have always possessed it. We simply chose not to use it. Paused. Until now. The crystalline representative consulted with the elder species. Finally, it spoke again. There is a rule, the oldest rule. It predates even the conquered. It exists because of events that happened nearly 2 million years ago. Tell me, said. The representative's light dimmed, as if remembering something painful. Long ago, an empire called the Endless ruled half the galaxy. They were powerful beyond measure. They found a young species on a small blue world, primitive creatures that had barely discovered fire. The Endless decided to enslave them. What happened? The young species refused. They fought with rocks and sticks against ships that could burn worlds. They lost. They were enslaved, but they did not stop fighting. For 10,000 years they resisted. They learned. They adapted. They waited. Felt something cold in his chest. He knew this story, not from history books but from something deeper, from his blood. And then they rose. They did not simply defeat the Endless Empire. They erased it. Every world, every colony, every ship, every record. They hunted the Endless across the galaxy and destroyed them so completely that we cannot even be certain they existed. The conquered was formed in the aftermath, and the oldest rule was created. What is the rule? The representative's voice was quiet now. Some species carry within them the seed of total war. They are not to be touched. They are not to be provoked. They are to be left alone. Nodded slowly, and humans are not on this protected list. No, you have not proven yourselves. Smiled, it was not a kind smile. Then we will prove ourselves, and when we are finished, that will serve as a reminder of why the rule exists. He turned to leave, then stopped. Tell your elder species to move their civilians away from human space. The war that is coming will not be careful. It will not be precise. It will be human, and human wars do not end until one side no longer exists. He walked out of the chamber. Behind him, the ancient brain creature spoke again. I have reviewed human history, their wars against each other, their capacity for destruction. And, the crystalline representative asked, we should evacuate every system within 500 light years of their space, just in case. The representative considered this. Is that not excessive? No, the ancient being said. It may not be enough. They have made a terrible mistake. They have awakened something that should have been left sleeping. Now we can only watch and pray that the humans remember mercy when the killing is done. On Earth, President finished reading the reports from the conquered. She looked at Admiral Han. They will not help us. I did not expect them to, replied. We have always been alone. We have always survived. This will be no different. And the oldest rule, this story about our ancestors destroying an empire. Smiled. I do not know if it is true, but I know this. We are the children of survivors. Every human alive today carries the blood of those who refuse to die. They see our small fleet and think they see weakness. They are looking at the wrong thing. What should they be looking at? Admiral Han turned to the window. Outside, the sun was setting over Earth, painting the sky in shades of red and gold. They should be looking at our history, not our ships. Our ships can be destroyed, our worlds can be burned, but our will to survive, that cannot be killed. That is what makes us dangerous. That is what they have forgotten. She turned back to the president. Give the order. Wake the sleeping giant. Let us remind the galaxy why the oldest rule exists. High Commander stood on the bridge of his flagship and watched the system grow larger on his screens. This was humanity's second largest colony. 3 billion humans lived on the planets below. Soon, they would belong to the Empire. His fleet was magnificent, 10,000 warships, each one larger than any human vessel. His soldiers were veterans of 100 conquests. This would be easy. This would be fast. "Commander," his advisor said, "we detect human ships ahead." Smiled. "How many?" 100. The bridge crew laughed. 100 ships against 10,000. The humans were fools. "They must want to surrender quickly," said. "Open a channel, tell them they may." "Commander, the human ships are moving toward us." Blinked. "Moving toward us. They are attacking." "Yes, Commander." For a moment could not understand. This made no sense. No species would attack with such impossible odds. It was suicide. "Very well," he said slowly. "Begin the correction." The fleet advanced. Their weapons powered up. 10,000 ships against 100. The first human ship exploded, then the second, then the third. But something strange was happening. The human ships were not running, they were not surrendering, they were fighting, and they were killing. "Commander," his advisor said, his voice now filled with confusion, "we have lost 30 ships." 30 against 100 humans, that is. How is that possible? "Their ships are faster than ours. Their weapons are more accurate, and Commander, they are not aiming at our ships. They are aiming at our bridges, at our engine rooms. They know exactly where to hit us." The battle continued. Human ships died one by one, hopelessly outnumbered, but each human ship took dozens of vessels with it. "Commander, one of their damaged ships is accelerating toward us." Watched the screen. The human vessel was broken, burning, clearly dying. It should be trying to escape. Instead, it was flying directly at his fleet. "It is going to." The human ship crashed into a cruiser at full speed. Both vessels disappeared in a ball of fire. "They destroyed themselves," his advisor whispered. "They killed themselves just to hurt us." "What kind of species does this?" demanded. "What kind of creatures fight like this?" No one answered. When the battle ended, all 100 human ships were destroyed, but they had lost 3,200 vessels, 32 ships for every human ship killed. Sat in his command chair, trying to understand what had happened. His easy conquest had become a bloodbath, and this was just the first battle. "Commander," his advisor said quietly, "I studied human history before this campaign. May I share what I found?" "Speak." "The humans have been a spacefaring species for only 800 years. But before that, they spent 100,000 years fighting wars on there. They fought over food, over water, over land, over ideas, over nothing at all. They have been perfecting the art of war since before our ancestors left our birth planet." Said nothing. "They have a word in their oldest language. It has no direct translation. The closest meaning is the joy of battle. They are one of the only species in the galaxy that feels pleasure in combat. They do not fight because they must. They fight because something in them needs it." "That is impossible," said. "No species evolves to enjoy war." "Humans did, and Commander, this was only 100 ships, a small patrol force. What happens when they send their full fleet?" Far away on Earth, Admiral Han watched the battle reports come in. 100 brave souls all dead, but they had proven something important. "They can be hurt," she said to President. "They expected us to break. Instead, we showed them that every human life will cost them dearly." "We lost good people today," the President said. "Yes, and their sacrifice will save millions more, because now they know the truth. Taking our worlds will not be conquest, it will be war, real war, the kind they have not faced in a million years." Across humanity's 17 systems the message spread. 100 ships against 10,000, all dead, but they took 32 enemies with each ship lost. They did not run. They did not surrender. They fought until their last breath. Every shipyard increased production. Workers who had never held weapons volunteered for training. Scientists who had been studying medicine or agriculture turned their minds to destruction. Humanity was transforming. Private Moon was 18 years old when she joined the military. She had been studying to become a teacher. Now she learned to kill. "Why are you here?" her instructor asked during training. "Because they attacked us," said. "Because they want to make us slaves. Because I would rather die fighting than live on my knees." Her instructor, a veteran of 30 years, smiled. "That answer, that is why we will win. The fight for glory, for conquest, for power. We fight for survival, for our families, for our homes. There is no force in the galaxy stronger than humans protecting what they love." The ambassador requested an audience with High Commander. He was refused. He sent messages warning about the danger. They were ignored. Finally, he recorded a message and sent it to every leader he could reach. "You must stop this war. I have studied human history more than anyone alive. Their first Great War killed 20 million of their own kind. Their second Great War killed 80 million. They built weapons that could destroy entire cities in a single flash of light. They did this to themselves, to their own species." He paused, his old eyes filled with fear. "What do you think they will do to us, to an enemy? They do not know how to surrender. Their entire evolution has been defined by one simple truth: win or die. They will fight until every human is dead or until every is dead. There is no middle ground. There is no negotiation. We have awakened something that should have been left sleeping." His message was labeled as the ravings of a coward. No one listened. 3 months later, they would wish they had. Commander Shin stood on the bridge of the relentless, humanity's and most powerful warship. She was Admiral Han's best student, cold, precise, deadly. "We have our orders," she told her crew. "We do not fight to defend. We do not fight to hold territory. We fight to make them afraid. Every soldier will learn that attacking humans has a price. Every family will know the cost of this war. We will not be gentle. We will not be kind. We will be human." Her crew cheered. The war had truly begun, and humanity was just getting started. 3 months of war had changed everything. They had captured 4 human systems, but the price they paid was beyond anything had imagined. For every world they took, they lost hundreds of ships. For every city they occupied, they faced endless resistance. High Commander stood on the surface of New Sol, a captured human agricultural world. He had made this planet his headquarters to show the humans that their worlds now belonged to him. But something was wrong. The humans refused to obey. "Report," he demanded. His general looked exhausted. "Commander, we cannot control the population. They sabotage our equipment during the night. They poison the food supplies meant for our soldiers. They disappear into the mountains and attack our patrols. We have executed hundreds, but it only makes them fight harder. Then execute thousands." "We tried, Commander. It does not work. Each death creates 10 more fighters. They call it resistance. They would rather die than serve us." Did not understand this. Every other species he had conquered had eventually submitted. They had learned to accept rule, but these humans, they were different. In the mountains of New Sol, Lieutenant led what remained of the human resistance. He had been on vacation when they invaded. Now he commanded 300 fighters armed with farming tools, stolen weapons, and pure hatred. "Tonight," told his people, "we hit their command center. It will be guarded by 500 soldiers. We have 60 fighters, but we have something they do not have." "What?" a young fighter asked. "We know this land, every rock, every tree, every shadow. This is our home, and we do not surrender our homes." That night's fighters attacked. They came from everywhere and nowhere. They struck and vanished. They used traps and tricks that they had never seen before. By dawn, the command center was burning and 200 soldiers were dead. Lost 12 fighters, he mourned each one, but he did not stop. Far from New Sol, the steady dawn continued its mission. Captain Park had been ordered to rescue human prisoners from behind enemy lines. It was dangerous work. Every mission might be his last. Dr. Myra worked beside him, coordinating evacuations. She had not slept properly in weeks, but every time she saved a human life, she found the strength to continue. "The lost colony," she told one night. "Hope's Landing. We are almost finished evacuating them. 50,000 people who lived as slaves for 200 years. They will finally be free." Nodded. "Good. They deserve freedom. Every human does." "Captain, I need to tell you something. When this is over, I want to stay on Hope's Landing, help them rebuild, help them heal." Looked at her. Myra had become more than just his science officer. She was his friend, his conscience, the one who reminded him what they were fighting for. "I hope you get that chance," he said. "I truly do." Commander Shin led her strike force deep into territory. Her mission was simple: rescue human prisoners of war. She had done it 17 times already. Each time she brought more humans home. But this mission was different. The had set a trap. "Commander, enemy ships appearing on all sides. We are surrounded." Looked at the tactical display. There was no escape, but there were still human prisoners on the station below. "Launch the rescue shuttles," she ordered. "Get our people out." "Commander, if we launch shuttles, we cannot defend ourselves. We will die." "I know," stood straight. "Our lives for theirs, that is the trade, make it worth something." The Relentless fought for 3 hours. Crew destroyed 40 enemy ships before their weapons failed. The rescue shuttles escaped with 2,000 prisoners. The Relentless did not. As soldiers boarded her dying ship, sent one final message: "Tell my mother I was brave." She was captured, and then she was killed. The broadcast her execution across the galaxy. They expected humans to lose hope. Instead, humanity became something else, something cold, something terrible. Admiral Han watched the broadcast in silence. Her student, her daughter in all but blood, dead. When it ended, she stood and walked to the command center. Her staff looked at her with fear. They had never seen this expression on her face before. "They believe they understand human anger," she said. Her voice was quiet, calm, terrifying. "They are wrong. What they have seen until now was frustration, resistance, defense. What comes next is different." She looked at the star map, 40 systems highlighted in red. "Launch everything, every ship we have. We do not capture, we do not occupy. We destroy every military installation and leave. Let them know that there is nowhere safe. Let them know that their homes can burn just as easily as ours." Earth's fleet, now 2,000 ships, built in 3 months of endless work, jumped into space. They hit 40 systems in a single day. They destroyed and vanished. High Commander received the reports one by one. His face grew paler with each message. "They attacked, all military stations destroyed. They attacked, the shipyard is gone. They attacked our outer defense ring, 300 ships lost." Hal whispered, "How are they doing this? We outnumber them, we have more ships, more soldiers, more everything." Ambassador appeared on his screen, uninvited. "I warned you," the old diplomat said. "I told you what they were. You did not listen. You are a traitor, a coward." "No, I am the only one who understood. Humans do not fight wars the way we do. They do not seek honor or glory. They seek victory, complete victory. They will use every trick, every weapon, every strategy they can imagine. And they have been imagining new ways to kill for 100,000 years." Stared at the old ambassador. "What do I do?" "Surrender, now, before it is too late, before they decide that the only way to be safe is to destroy us completely." "I cannot surrender. I would be executed." Shook his head sadly. "Then you will die anyway, and you will take our entire species with you." On New Sol, Lieutenant saw ships in the sky, human ships. He had never felt such joy. "They are coming," he told his fighters. "Hold on just a little longer, our people are coming." Private Moon was among the first soldiers to land. She had trained for 6 months. She had dreamed of this moment. The liberation of New Seoul took 14 hours. When it was over, met in the ruins of what had been a beautiful city. "Thank you," he said. "Thank you for not forgetting us." Looked at the destruction around them, at the bodies of soldiers who had occupied her people's world, at the survivors who were crying with relief. "We never forget," she said. "That is what makes us human." In orbit, Captain watched New Seoul's liberation from the steady dawn. Beside him, Dr. Myra wept with joy. "We are winning," she said. "We are actually winning." Nodded, but his eyes were fixed on the tactical display. They were retreating. They were losing, but wounded animals were dangerous. "This is not over," he said. "Not yet. They still have thousands of ships. They can still hurt us." He was right. High Commander had one final plan, one terrible act that he believed would break humanity forever. He was wrong. It would only make humanity angrier. High Commander was desperate. His empire was crumbling. His fleets were broken. His soldiers were afraid. He needed one final victory, one moment of triumph to restore pride. He looked at the star map and found his target, Hope's Landing, the lost human colony. 50,000 civilians still waiting for evacuation. If he destroyed them, he would prove that humans could not protect their own people. "All remaining ships," he ordered. "We attack Hope's Landing, destroy everything, leave nothing alive." 200 warships jumped toward the small moon where humans had lived as slaves for 2 centuries. They would kill every man, woman, and child. They would turn the surface to ash. Captain Park received the warning with cold fear. Hope's Landing, where Dr. Myra was coordinating the final evacuation, where 50,000 innocent lives waited for rescue. He looked at his tactical display. His battle group had 20 ships. They had 200. Admiral Hand's main fleet was 6 hours away. "Captain," Lieutenant said. He had joined the steady dawn after New Seoul's liberation. "What are your orders?" Did not hesitate. "We go. We hold them off until the civilians escape." "Sir, we cannot win this battle. We will all die." "I know," stood. "But those people down there have been waiting 200 years for freedom. They will not die in chains. Not while I have a ship. Not while I have breath." His crew said nothing. They simply prepared for battle. They were human. This was what humans did. 20 ships against 200. The odds were impossible, but impossible odds had never stopped humanity before. The Battle of Hope's Landing began at dawn. Ships formed a wall between the fleet and the colony below. Every ship knew they would not survive. They fought anyway. "First transport away," the communication officer reported. 2,000 civilians safe. Smiled grimly. "Keep them coming. We hold until the last transport escapes." Hour after hour, his ships died. But for every human ship destroyed, dozens of vessels fell with them. The colonists escaped 10,000 at a time, their transports racing past the battle toward safety. On the surface, Dr. Myra coordinated everything. She could have left on the first transport. She refused. "These people have been through enough," she told her team. "I will not leave until they are all safe." The hours passed. 30,000 evacuated, 40,000, the fleet pushed closer. Ships burned and died. "Final transport loading," the ground controller reported. 10,000 remaining, but Captain, they are breaking through. Myra looked at the sky. She could see the battle now, burning ships falling like stars, and behind them vessels descending toward the landing zone. "How long until the transport is ready?" 10 minutes. She made her decision. "Get everyone aboard. I will coordinate from here." "Doctor, you cannot." "I can, I will. These people deserve to be free. Get them to safety. That is an order." She stayed at her post. The last transport lifted off with 10,000 grateful souls. Myra watched it climb into the sky, tears streaming down her face. The bombardment hit 30 seconds later. She did not suffer. In orbit, Captain saw the explosion. He knew what it meant. Myra was gone. The woman who had started all of this, who had discovered the lost colony, who had never stopped fighting for others. Dead. Captain said softly, "The last transport is away. The civilians are safe." Nodded, his ship was dying. Only 4 of his original 20 remained, but they had done it. 50,000 lives saved. "It is time," he said. The steady dawn accelerated toward the flagship. Had served on this ship for 15 years. It had been his home. Now it would be his weapon. "For Myra," he whispered, "for everyone." The collision destroyed both ships instantly. Admiral Hand's fleet arrived 20 minutes later. They found 4 human ships still fighting, surrounded by the wreckage of 170 vessels. Was gone, but he had held the line. The remaining ships fled. Hand's fleet pursued. They hunted High Commander to his final hiding place, his own flagship limping toward home. Lieutenant volunteered for the boarding action. He had fought on New Sol. He had watched friends die. He had earned this moment. The fighting through the flagship was brutal, lost men and women at every corridor. But he did not stop. He could not stop, not until he reached. He found the High Commander on the bridge, alone, abandoned by his guards. "You cannot kill me," said. "I am the High Commander of the Empire. I demand to be treated as a prisoner of war." Looked at the reptile who had started everything, who had ordered the deaths of millions, who had killed, who had tried to exterminate Hope's Landing. "You came to enslave us," said. His voice was quiet, calm. "You murdered our people. You thought we would break." He raised his weapon. "We are human. We do not break, we break you." The war ended with death. The Empire surrendered unconditionally. Their remaining fleets were disarmed. Their colonies were monitored. They would never threaten anyone again. At the Galactic Concord, the crystalline representative made a historic announcement. Humanity has been added to the protected species list, not to protect humans, to protect everyone else. Let no species forget the oldest rule. Let no species repeat this mistake. Do not mess with humans. Ambassador traveled to Earth to formally apologize. He expected rage. He expected demands for punishment. Instead, President offered his people reconstruction aid. "You expected vengeance?" she asked. "Your history suggests it." President smiled. "That is the other thing about humans, Ambassador. We are as capable of mercy as we are of wrath. We choose which face to show. Your people chose for us once. Choose more wisely next time." Bowed deeply, he finally understood. Humans were not monsters. They were something more complicated, capable of love and hate, mercy and fury, creation and destruction. They were everything at once. That was what made them terrifying, and that was what made them beautiful. On Hope's Landing, a monument was built. It held the names of everyone who died in the war: Captain Park, Dr. Myra, Commander Shin, thousands of others who had given everything for their people. At the monument's center was an inscription, translated into 10,000 galactic languages. "We came in peace. We wished only to explore, to learn, to grow. We offered friendship to all who would accept it, but we will not be conquered. We will not be enslaved. We will not be erased. This is not a threat. This is simply what we are. Humanity endures." Years later, in a school on a distant world, young aliens learned about the war. Their teacher, a being of pure light, spoke carefully. "And this is why we have the oldest rule. Some species should not be provoked. Humans are kind. They are curious. They will help anyone in need. But they have a capacity for violence that exceeds any species in galactic history." A young student raised a tendril. "Teacher, why did they attack them?" "Because they forgot the rule. Because they saw human kindness and mistook it for weakness. They learned too late that humans choose to be gentle. When that choice is taken from them, they become something else entirely." "What happens now?" The teacher's light flickered warmly. Now humans are our allies, our friends. They help build hospitals and schools across the galaxy. They share their art and music and stories. They are wonderful neighbors. The teacher paused. Just remember, little ones, always remember, be kind to humans, be good to them, because if you are not, they will remind you why the oldest rule exists, and that reminder will be the last thing you ever see. In the darkness of space, human ships traveled peacefully among the stars. They explored, they discovered, they helped whoever needed help. They were gentle and curious and kind. But in every ship, in every colony, in every human heart, something ancient waited. Something that remembered 100,000 years of war. Something that had destroyed an empire before memory began. The galaxy had learned an important lesson. Humanity had taught it with blood and fire and sacrifice. Some things should not be awakened. Some rules should not be broken. Some species should not be touched. Humanity was all three. And the galaxy would never forget it again.